I noticed during that time that you did a master's in management and IT at Charles Sturt University.
Yes.
Was that kind of a benefit of working for a global organisation, or was that more self-driven?
There's a bit of both. At that point in time, I had a managing director for that company, an American expat. And he kind of had that view of you had to go to university. And
Right.
His Scott in IT, didn't finish high school, didn't have anything to his name apart from a TAFE certificate. So he gave me the opportunity to do the university degree and was funded through the organisation based on if I passed.
Yeah. Okay.
At the time, I couldn't see the benefit. I was like, 4 years, right? Am I doing a master's? And 4 years' time, that's a long time.
Yeah.
But as I look back on it now, it was certainly valuable to my career going forward. I'm a big proponent of saying someone doesn't have to finish university or high school and go through the traditional channels to become at a senior level. Yeah. But I think what you do get out of a university degree on the longer term is some of that executive polish, the management. You start to understand what people are talking about when they're talking about Six Sigma or Moore's theory and all these other things that you learn out of a textbook, but you can start to relate to it.
Yeah.
So while at the point in time I didn't see it being really beneficial, it was just to get a certificate to say I completed it. Yeah. Looking back, that's definitely opened up opportunities through my career by having that there.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting, isn't it? It gives you that kind of theoretical grounding, as you say.
Yeah.
Probably a bit more confidence in some of your gut feel.
Certainly a challenge.
I think a lot of people that I speak to as well, particularly in that more postgraduate study whilst working, is the network. Mm-hmm. And they meet other technology people.
Yep.
Did you? I assume it was bricks and mortar university. It wasn't.
No, it was all remote.
It was all online. There you go. Okay.
All online, all remote. Yeah. Very early days, dial-up internet or just maybe NBN at the start. So it was slow. You try and jump on a chat room. There's no such thing as video conferencing.
No.
It was email and chat rooms.
Wow.
And shooting documents around. So
right.
It was fully remote. I never actually stood in the school grounds ever. Yeah. But I did make a lot of friends through that. We've gone our different ways. Pen pals at the time. You actually never saw them face to face.
That's right. Yeah.
So it was really hard. But it was an interesting time to do it remote and over that 4-year period. But thankfully, I look back and say, well, I didn't have to do the 4 or 6 years before that either. So
that's right.
I kind of got a 4-year stint and walked out with a master's, which was a good outcome.
Yeah. And do you think that's something that has enabled you to get to where you've got to today? Do you think if you hadn't done that, maybe things would look like a sliding doors moment potentially, but it's hard to say. But would it have been?
Look, certainly. I think, and through my career, I've been through a number of US multinational companies, and certainly doors only opened because of having a degree behind my name. It would have been a lot harder to get through some of those areas just based on some of that mentality that still exists out there that you need a degree or a certificate to back up your credentials. I did walk out of that with the technology certifications as well, the MCSE, MCS specialists around that helped from the technical side, but with the business knowledge that you learn from a master's in management, it did open doors and gave me a new way to think about things that kind of transformed me from being just technical focused to being a bit more management orientated, and then opened up the idea of, hang on, this is something I'd like to be involved in, the strategy, the goals, the team management stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting. Look, I spent a bit of time living and working in America, in Texas. And it's interesting what you're saying there about the credentials. It's one of the things that I had to adapt to doing business in America is people wanted to know your credentials. I then moved from America here and found that's very un-Australian.
Yes.
It's almost, people don't want to hear your credentials. And that took adjustment as well. But I think it's interesting advice for someone that is maybe building a career in Australia and wants to head towards some kind of multinational organisation. Is maybe just be prepared for that, because there are different expectations and different ways that people will assess and judge you.
I think these days there's a lot of options to do that differently, right?
Yeah.
Be it full-time remote, part-time, online, there's a whole different way to do it than blocking out a period of your life when you're only focused on education.
Yes.
I look back and say those early years through the traineeship at Computergate gave me the technical skill and the workforce skill.
Yes.
You would apply yourself, you're committed, you'd do anything you could to
Yeah.
prove yourself. Walking out with a master's degree at the end was, well, okay, now I've got that on my name and I can put those initials behind my signature, just help open doors later on. But the technical training and the hands-on learning was the most important part, regardless.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Look, again, similar. I did university and postgrad as an adult when I was about 30.
Mm-hmm.
I went into the workforce and learned how to work,
Yep.
and then came back to that. And also felt I probably had a greater appreciation and motivation to study at that point in my life.
Yes.
Whereas when I was 18, it was the last thing I wanted to do.
Yep.
Just wanted to earn some cash. So again, I think it's good to see that it doesn't always have to be this linear path where you kind of follow through high school to tertiary education and kind of so forth as well if you want to progress.
Yep.